All right, let's talk about something that really shapes our world, often in ways we don't even see. I'm talking about moral courage. It's that quiet strength behind some of the biggest moments in history. And yeah, even the critical decisions in our own day-to-day lives.
So when I say courage, what pops into your head? Probably something like a hero running into a burning building, right? That's physical courage, and we all get it. But what about the other kind? What about the person who saves a company from going down a corrupt path, or who speaks up for what's right when literally everyone else is staying quiet? That's moral courage.
So let's really dive into it. To get a handle on moral courage, we've got to first understand how it's different from the kind of bravery we usually think about.
Okay, so let's break this down. On one hand, you've got physical courage. That's pretty straightforward, facing things that can, physically hurt you. But moral courage, that's a whole different beast. This is about facing risks to your reputation, your job, maybe even your friendships. It's the guts to do the right thing when the price you pay is personal, not physical. A good way to think about it is this. Moral courage is basically the engine that turns what you believe into what you do. It's that inner strength, that force of will, that lets you stand by your principles, to serve a purpose that's bigger than yourself, no matter how tough it gets. And what's really fascinating here is that moral courage isn't just some magic trait you're born with. Turns out, it's actually a process, something we can break down into 5 clear steps.
It's like a journey, really. It all starts with step 1. You have to recognize that you're in a situation with real moral weight. Then comes step 2, the choice. Are you going to act based on your principles? If the answer is yes, that leads to step 3, behavior. You actually have to do something. And a lot of the time, that means step 4, acting individually. Maybe being the only one taking a stand. And then, the big one, the final step, facing that fear of what might happen next.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how does this whole 5-step thing actually look in the real world? Let's take a look at how moral courage really is the foundation of our most important institutions.
And here is the crucial link. When leaders show moral courage, they build trust. It's just that simple. People see that tough decisions are being made based on values, not just what's easy. And that trust, well, that's the glue that holds any team or organization together.
And this quote right here, wow, it's a perfect real-world example. This staff sergeant is basically walking us through that 5-step process we just talked about. His leader recognized a bad order. He chose to put his team first. His behavior was to push back. He acted individually against a superior officer. And you bet he had to face the fear of the fallout. That right there is how you build real, rock-solid trust. Now, the stakes get especially high in public service. People in public administration are constantly up against these ethical dilemmas, where every single option seems to compromise some important value. This is where moral courage isn't just helpful, it's absolutely vital. And this diagram here shows you exactly what makes these situations so incredibly tough. You've got to make a choice, but there's no clean, perfect answer. No matter what you decide to do, some ethical line is going to be crossed. It is a true test of a person's judgment and their character. So how do you find your way through a mess like that? Well, public servants have a kind of toolkit, a framework of core principles. They look to the Constitution, to the rule of law, to their own professional integrity, and most importantly, to the greater public good. These principles are like a compass in the middle of a moral hurricane. Whistleblowing is probably one of the most famous and riskiest forms of moral courage out there. It can be incredibly costly for the individual, but look at the upside for the organization. It creates a culture of accountability, it stops bad behavior before it gets out of control, and it can literally save jobs, money, and reputations. It's a crucial safety valve.
So we've seen why moral courage is so important. But what happens when it's not there? Well, the consequences can be nothing short of catastrophic.
When leaders decide to take the easy road instead of the right one, the ripple effects are just enormous. We're not just talking about one bad call. We're talking about a complete breakdown of integrity that can bring entire systems crashing down. And sadly, we don't have to look very far for examples. Just think about the huge scandals: Enron, Tyco, Adelphi. In every single one of those cases, leaders were either actively committing fraud or, just as bad, they simply didn't have the courage to stop it. And the results? They were devastating for real people. We're talking about employees losing their jobs, retirees seeing their pensions just vanish, shareholders lost everything, and the public's trust in the system completely shattered.
And this is just as destructive in the public sector.
A failure of moral courage here doesn't just hit a company's bottom line, it eats away at the very fabric of how we're governed. It leads straight to corruption, cronyism, and a culture that serves itself instead of the people.
So all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. Why does moral courage really matter? It's about so much more than just preventing disaster. It's about actually striving for something meaningful.
To really get this, we're going to turn to the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle and his idea of telos. Telos is the ultimate purpose of a thing, its whole reason for existing. For an acorn, the telos is to become a mighty oak tree. But what is it for a person or for an entire profession?
This idea leads to a really important distinction. You have external goods. These are the things we often compete for, right? Money, fame, power. They're often a zero-sum game. But then you have internal goods. These are totally different. They come from fulfilling that ultimate purpose, that telos. Think about the deep sense of satisfaction you get from a job done with excellence and integrity. Those kinds of rewards lift everybody up.
So, the telos, the ultimate point of a profession like public administration, isn't to get rich or powerful. It's the benevolent pursuit of the public interest. Moral courage is the key virtue that keeps people true to that purpose. It allows them to chase those internal goods, like excellence and fulfillment, instead of getting sidetracked by all the external stuff.
So what does this all boil down to? Moral courage isn't just about dodging bullets or avoiding scandals. It's really about striving for the best version of ourselves, for excellence in what we do. And that leaves us with a final thought, a question for you to take with you. Think about your own work, whatever it is you do. What is its telos? What's its ultimate purpose?